SMQBs, this is episode 139. Brian Pope from Dallas, give us your number. I think I know what it's going to be.
Number 1, baby. First World Series title for the Texas franchise going back to the Washington Senators of 1961. Been in Texas for 52 years, came in 1972.
All right, welcome to the club.
Yes.
Rooster from Richmond, what do you got?
6. The number of points the New York Football Giants scored against a team that was so bad that just days before the game, it fired its head coach and general manager.
Maybe the new guy's a great coach.
He just happens to be a former Giant. That helps.
House in Philly, yeah, that hurts, right? Oof.
I have 2, 362 and 470. There have been 362 passes against the Philadelphia Eagles this year, far and away the number 1 most pass team against, because nobody can run against them, and yet here we are, 8-1. And 470, a new record showing up in Canton for the most passing yards for a rookie in NFL history by C.J. Stroud, which will lead to my apology to all our Ohio State fans out there when we crush Ohio State because they never produced an NFL quarterback. They have produced one.
Yep. They've produced an elite one.
All right. My number, 97. That's the number of days until pitchers and catchers report. Right around the corner. Thank God.
Milk also wanted to say that his number is 1. The Buccaneers are the first time team to ever give up a field goal to a running back. Congrats to the Buccaneers.
It seemed like the whole thing happened in slow motion too. I don't know. It was very bizarre. So, all right, well, let's get into it. NFL Week 9. Who wants to jump in here with what's going on?
I mean, game of the week, House. You were there.
Yeah, I mean, if Purdy's healthy and they get Debo back, okay, maybe the Niners are fully back in the mix, but otherwise, I'm pretty sure these are the teams to beat in the NFC. It was a bruising battle that was decided really by, I'm sorry, I mean, Dak makes bonehead decisions. Dallas quarterbacks make some bonehead decisions at the end of games. And I think 25 out of 32, maybe higher number of quarterbacks do not step out of bounds when they're running in for a 2-point conversion. And if he scores on that 2-point conversion, then they're making a field goal to send it into overtime. They don't have to go for the end zone, from 21, 26 yards away. I thought it was a flag happy game. I thought the officials let that game get a little out of control.
Both sides.
Both sides. We've said on here, I don't know how many times, in the NFL, you could call a flag on every play if you want. You really could. Certainly on some offensive holding, some kind of motion penalty. But I think in the NFL, defensive holding has gotten out of control. I mean, when just absolutely doesn't affect the play whatsoever.
How about the play where some defensive back kind of just like with his finger and thumb held the towel of one of the receivers for a second? It didn't even slow the guy down.
Well, you can slow him down by holding the towel.
Yeah, but this didn't. Didn't even affect the play.
It didn't really. And that one was a little bit more blatant because it was basically taking off his undershirt. But a lot of these defensive holding, it's on the opposite side of the field where the play's not even happening. Yeah. The quarterback's in the grasp. It is a big reward to the offense to get first down, no matter what is the distance on that previous down. I think at a minimum, they should say defensive holding, 5 yards, repeat the down, or 10 yards, make it equal to the offensive penalty. What do you guys think, at least as to on what should be the result of a defensive holding?
You make it like college.
Well, you're right.
Still
I think
automatic
you get
first
rid
down
of,
in
you get rid of
college.
the
Yeah.
automatic first down, right?
Just make it 10 yards like offensive holding.
Yeah, which in most cases is going to result in a first down.
And so many of these defensive pass interference, what they really are is illegal touching beyond 5 yards. They got that wrong a whole bunch of games this weekend. But in any case, look, Jalen Hurts is a winner. We've all been circulating the stats about playing against the NFL's top teams, about how he
To be clear, when you say we've all been circulating the stats,
We've all read the stats
you
that
mean-
House
You
circulated.
mean you have circulated the stats multiple times?
I
over
did
the
not
last
circulate
several
that
weeks?
stat. I did
Uh,
not circulate this one. This was circulated by another member of the SMQBs.
Oh, that's right. Right.
Oh, you're right. Pope did it.
The Cowboys apologist.
Oh yeah. Fuck. Jeez.
I just feel like when Dallas teams have something else to crow about, I'm sure most of Metropolitan Dallas would have taken, I'll trade a Super Bowl. I'll trade a World Series for a loss to the Eagles. I think most would say that. So it's at least a little easier to take it this week. But
I still think it's so annoying how nice you two are being to each other. Like I don't want you guys don't have.
Look at my picture. Dak's an idiot.
Pathetic.
You know, you mentioned
that was when he tried to helicopter into the end zone.
Yeah.
You mentioned how Dallas Cowboys just have a history of screwing up at the end of games like that. That play where he ran out of bounds reminded me of the famous Romo extra point hold.
Oh yeah.
Against the Giants. It was like there's no way to lose that game unless you flub the extra point.
Dak has done it in the playoffs. Dak has done it in other late games. There's a stat that is going around on social media that I forget what exactly is the measure, but basically in late game performance, Jalen Hurts is first and Dak is last over the last couple years.
Quarterback rating.
Let me say
quarterback rating in the fourth quarter, something like that.
Because you started out by saying, unless Purdy gets healthy, maybe the Niners, but these are the two teams. And I am going to tell you you're wrong about that. And the reason you're wrong is not that the Eagles aren't the best team.
Right.
It's that as long as the Cowboys are led by Dak and Mike McCarthy, they will not be a serious threat to anyone. They will find a way to shoot themselves in the foot. They will find a way to snatch defeat from the jaws of victory. They will fuck it up somehow.
Bison,
period.
A few weeks ago, you had this brilliant thing on here about looking ahead to watching games and a whole bunch of meh. It was a really good one.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, this was a great game.
Okay, no. Have you seen the NFC lately and who would be in the playoff picture right now? I mean, that is capital MEH meh.
Yeah.
You're gonna put in the Falcons, the Vikings, the Saints. The yesterday's Seahawks.
Oh.
I mean, I think even the Dallas team can take care of all of those. It's the 49ers, the Eagles, and the Cowboys that I think are a distant difference. I will say this. I mean, there's no stopping Micah Parsons. It doesn't matter if you put 2 people on him, 3 people on him. Doesn't matter if he's in the middle line, the end of the line. Doesn't matter if it's a pass play, if it's a running play. I've never seen a ball hawk, a guy get to the ball since literally it says a lot, but since LT, this guy is crazy. The other thing that impressed me,
CeeDee Lamb has turned it up a notch too.
That's what I was going to say.
He's pretty damn
CeeDee
good.
Lamb,
Clearly
he's now a reliable number
receiver.
1. He's now a reliable number 1. He was not last year, but they've found their rhythm between the two of them, and somehow Dallas has a way every couple of years of developing a no-name tight end. And the Ferguson kid can play.
Yeah.
He can play.
Definitely.
All that said,
I told you that when I drafted him in fantasy.
I think it's Philadelphia by a mile, the Niners by a mile over Dallas then, and then a bunch of other teams.
I
have a hard time. Why have the Niners lost 3 straight? What's going on there?
And not looked good at all.
Purdy concussion
injuries,
counts for 2 of them, and Debo being out counts for 2 of them.
Yeah. Injuries. I mean,
I think Trent Williams is hurt too, right?
Yes.
And they did make a big acquisition, arguably. We'll see how it plays out.
Yeah.
But their defense wasn't good. And they went out and traded for Chase Young. We'll see. We'll see how that works out for them. Could rejuvenate his career. He could also just be, you know,
I
a lot
mean-
of people in DC are throwing him under the bus now, saying he was undisciplined, and you know that I kind of hate that stuff. Like when they trade someone, that all of a sudden these leaks come out. You know, we never liked him here anyway, right? That kind of stuff. Like, you know, leave the kid alone. You traded him. Best of luck to him. You know, he's playing opposite one of his college teammates now. Maybe he makes a big difference for the Niners, but they got to get healthy is the biggest thing.
I mean, they're coming off a bye, and they're at Jacksonville. Not exactly an easy task coming off the bye.
Right. I've been saying all year that,
and then they play Philly shortly thereafter.
I've been saying great teams find a way to win when they're not playing well. And right now, I really think the Eagles are the only team fitting that description. The Cowboys, the Niners, the Bills, they're good teams for sure, but they are not finding a way to win the games they need to win.
But when you look at the AFC, then so just playing off of House's post, you know, or statement about the NFC, which I agree with. When you look at the AFC, I mean, I don't really know what to make of that. I mean, the Chiefs, I think, are miles above everybody else. And if I look at it, the next best team is Cincinnati now.
Yep.
And the Ravens, 72.
You
Ravens
never know what you're going
defense-
to get with them.
Yeah,
though.
but the last 2 weeks is a pretty good trend for them.
Yeah.
The Ravens defense is suffocating. They can overcome Lamar's inconsistency because now their defense is total shutdown. I really want to see the next Ravens Bengals, the next Ravens Chiefs. I want to see those matchups to really gauge.
They held the Seahawks
got
to
the
3
hot
points
Browns.
and scored 37 on them. I mean, the Seahawks are no slouch. They may not be a consistent team, but they're no slouch. I mean, they were so far ahead of the Seahawks so soon that Kenny Walker had like 15 yards rushing in that game because the Seahawks had a pass.
Are you bitter about that?
A little bit.
The next 2 games though for the Ravens are Browns and then Bengals. So we're going to find out a lot about them.
We're going to find out a lot.
Yeah.
Actually, all 3 of those teams. In the next
Jacksonville's a nice little team. The Dolphins are a nice little team at this point.
No, they're not.
I mean, yeah, that's what they are. They're a nice little team. That's it.
Yeah,
you know,
against mediocrity, they kick ass.
Right. That's my point. I mean, that's what I'm saying is, you know, they're not scary. They're not a scary team.
Here's an interesting story.
But it's Kansas City. They had a horrible second half. They were lucky to win that game. They did not play well in the second half. You know, Miami didn't play well in the first half.
They found a way to win against a high-powered offense.
Yeah.
People are going to say the Dolphins are back because the next 5 weeks they go Raiders, Jets, Commanders, Titans, and Jets.
Yeah.
And then everybody's going to say, but then let's see how they finish against Cowboys, Ravens, and Bills. Then we'll see whether the Finns are for real. I just don't think they are. I do not think they are. And I think they've run the bubble screen 10,000 too many times. Every team knows it's coming now to Tyreek, and Waddle's got health issues, and I think the most exciting team to watch, which will not be in the playoffs, but the way the Texans are building that team on offense and defense is really, really fun. Like really fun to watch that team develop.
I agree.
I thoroughly enjoyed their showing yesterday.
Yes, you should have.
Wait, who did you have?
He had 51 fantasy points from CJ Stroud.
Oh, wow. And you
the only thing that kept me partially in the game was I had Tank Dell as my add-on wide receiver.
That and your kicker had like
waivers.
18 points. Whoever your kicker was had
Wait,
18 points.
Did the 4 of us have intramural this week?
Yeah, yeah.
Our
game's still going on. No, I have Justin Herbert tonight.
Yeah, man. How many points you need?
32.
All right. Well, House, you got the Chargers. You need 25. That's doable.
Happened. It's very, very unlikely. I forget who it was this year that beat me when they had like was it you, Rooster? Who beat me when they had a gazillion defense points on the last? Somebody did this year, but anyway.
I think I did.
Yes, that's what
I think it was me.
Here's what I think is kind of
the
kind
Texans
of an interesting
are not out
story.
of the playoff picture yet, guys.
Yeah. They're 4-4. Here's an interesting story going into week 10. Seems like this is becoming the year of the rookie quarterback. I mean, I read something today where because of Danny Dimes' injury, we're probably going to have to start Tommy Donato again.
DeVito,
DeVito, whatever the hell
De
his
Niro?
name is.
De
Danny.
Niro, Danny.
Tom-
I think it's DeVito.
Tommy
Danny
DeVito. He will be the 10th rookie quarterback to start a game this year, which is a record for the
Wow.
NFL. And here's my question. If you're the Panthers GM and you get a reset, in what order are you ranking the rookie quarterbacks right now? Like, who do you have as top 3? Obviously, CJ Stroud's number 1, right?
He's got to
PJ
be
Stroud is number
Right
1
now.
Do you go Richardson second now after the year he had
No.
before he got hurt?
The best
It's
the
hard.
best ability is availability.
Okay. How about Will
Yeah.
Levis?
Don't know
I'm
yet.
not going to put him over Bryce yet. It's way too early.
He's a prototypical quarterback with a big gun for an arm. He looks like a future John Elway or Josh
come on.
Allen.
Come on, he's
in
had one
terms of
game.
arm strength.
It's fairly
In terms of
aggressive.
arm strength.
Okay.
I just think Bryce Young is too small and frail and doesn't. I would put him in maybe the top 4, but not top 3 of the rookie quarterbacks.
I think it's too early to tell.
He gets no help. I mean, it's just. But
Give me
it's
one Samuel Howell.
He's not a rookie.
I know. I'll take him.
Anyway, what else did you guys want to talk about in the NFL? You had something else you wanted to talk about.
Yeah, I mean,
the
look, I want
referees.
to talk about this. I want to talk about this brotherly
shove?
thing. I mean, it's not a new story. People are sort of like, they don't know what to say about it. Half the league wants to ban it. Well, there's like 31 teams that want to ban it, and one team that wants to keep it. I think everybody knows what we're talking about. I mean, it's the Eagles are unstoppable on 1 yard when they need to get a yard.
unless they fumble.
It's almost 2 yards at this point, where they just run a QB sneak basically, and they get a push from behind. And it's I don't know. It's only controversial, I think, because it's unstoppable and no one else can do it.
I don't even think it's about the push.
You don't think it is?
I watched it pretty carefully yesterday. Jalen Hurts is bigger, stronger, and taller than most quarterbacks, and he's getting that yard or 2 with his leg strength. I don't think he needs to be pushed. I don't think there's anyone who could push him harder than he can run.
You guys didn't answer my question earlier because it's surprising. Who do you think's taller, Jalen or Dak?
Jalen.
Nope. Dak's 6'2", Jalen's 6'1". I don't know
There's
why.
There's no way Dak is squatting 600 plus.
No,
pounds.
I know, but it's Jalen has got some combination of strength and maybe because he's lower to the ground, he's able to push off, but he has got it down. Nobody else does.
I told you though, the Giants have run it 3 times, and they wound up hurting 2 or 3 players, including their starting center the first time, and have. The second time they tried to run it, they couldn't get the playoff because Evan Neal jumped off sides. And the third time they lost yards. I mean, well, they look like their whole team looked like they didn't. They're like, come on, coach, we don't want to run this play. We're going to get hurt.
Dak
that's their
tried
body
it
language.
Yesterday, and you're right, House. It was arguably didn't get the line of gain.
But let's not take for granted the offensive line too, right? I mean, they've got to have something to do with it. House, what do you think? You got to have strong feelings on this. You want it outlawed immediately, right?
I want all the people whining about it to be outlawed immediately. I just think that there are, so many plays in sports. I said to you guys over text, like if the best example I can think of is a pitcher that says, I basically have one pitch in my repertoire. You know what's coming. I'm Aroldis Chapman. I'm Nolan Ryan. I'm Greg Maddux. See if you can hit it.
Or how about Kareem Abdul-Jabbar's skyhook?
Yeah.
Imagine if they tried to outlaw that.
Or anybody over 7 feet can't dunk.
Indefensible.
There are certain plays in sports that are executed even when you know that it's coming, and that's what makes it a beautiful thing. And, I think one day we'll find out that whether they keep the play or not keep the play, that the Eagles had mastered it from a combination of offensive line execution and a mammoth of a quarterback who's got tree trunks for legs. I think it's dumb to even talk about it. I think it leads to some other gimmick play, if you want to call it a gimmick.
Taking it off the agenda next time.
No, not. I think it's dumb for all these. I can't believe like real like coordinators like Del Rio or other players are.
You mean real
coordinators,
unlike Del Rio?
Was Del Rio whining about it?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
I hate him.
I think they just have to come up with a better defense for this. Like, for example, the 3 interior defensive linemen need to submarine the offensive linemen, and then the linebackers need to go over the top. And at the same time, maybe the cornerbacks are blitzing, trying to get to the quarterback and get, like hold on to the quarterback before he gets the push going.
By the way,
they all just seem to stand there and try to push back against it.
Del Rio should be the last one to complain. He's the only team that I can see that, the Eagles fumbled on a brotherly shove and we recovered it. I mean, that's about the only time that's happened all year.
My brother who was with me, one of my brothers who was with me at the game last night, said his prediction is that the play remains, but it'll be a legal formation for the 2 people to line up right behind the quarterback and push. So it'll just be like any other quarterback.
It's not going to slow Jalen down a whole lot, I don't think.
My thought on it. I told you guys earlier. How about you just don't let the Eagles get to 3rd and 1
or 2? Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, look. Tom Brady used to always from the goal line. It was almost unstoppable. His sneaks for whatever reason. I mean, he was incredibly effective at getting the ball from the 1 yard line into the end zone. And we didn't talk about this. So. Amazing. We're all in agreement. The entire NFC East representation here is in agreement to back the fuck off of the Eagles on this one.
There we go.
Yeah.
Toby, don't say we don't ever support.
Wow.
Right. Yes.
That's right.
That's brotherly love for the brotherly shove.
Hey, without looking, guys, if you had to guess, who has the longest winning streak in the NFL right
now? The Bengals.
Jags.
I'm going to go with the Jags.
5 straight. The London Jags.
The Tottenham Jags. The Tottenham Jags.
They've won 5 straight. Followed by the Ravens and Bengals at 4 straight.
All right. Well, I guess we got to do some locks here, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
We have one from Milk. He is going to take.
Wait, how did we do last week?
Last week.
Oh, Rooster has that.
Oh, really? Okay. So last week, here we go. Last week. All right. And in an interesting game, Milk took the Bucks and House took the Texans -3. And of course, the Texans won by 2. Right?
Were the Texans -3 or was it the Bucks -3 away?
I think the Texans were -3, but I could be wrong about that.
Let me double check that. Yep, Houston. Yeah. So actually, he won.
He won. You lost.
I lost. Yep. I'll take the victory. I won $50 off of Milk.
All right. Bison.
Milk money. Nothing like it.
Bison won convincingly, taking the Browns over the Cardinals -7. I think I got a tie.
Who'd you have?
I had the Saints -7 against the Bears. And
push.
It was a push. So I'm tied. Wow. I have a tie on my record.
Nice.
Oh, some people
Bison loves a tie.
Yeah. Where's Pope took the Falcons -4.5 over the Vikings, so he lost.
Oops.
And in a Josh Dobbs phenomenal game for a guy who just basically walked onto the team. That's everyone, right? Yeah.
By the way, those are some other hilarious stories. Josh Dobbs didn't even know the players on his team.
Right.
He hadn't taken a rep.
He hadn't taken a rep. Once the guy got hurt, he had to assemble the offensive line and had to start practicing his cadence with the whole offensive line on the sidelines before he went in the game. He had never taken a rep with the team before.
How does that happen?
So Milk stays in the lead, followed by Me and then House, then Pope, then Bison. So let's
All
go
right,
to
Milk-
week 10.
Milk is taking the Jaguars getting 3 at home from the 49ers. The Jaguars
Ooh.
+3.
It's a good game.
And I am going to stay with the Texans getting I'm staying with the Texans getting 7 on the road at the Bengals, who are likely to be down 1 Jamar Chase. And
What happened to him?
Oh, was he hurt last night?
yeah, his back is bothering him. I think he's going to be out at least a game. I think the Texans, with CJ Stroud playing relatively at home in Cincinnati, is going to be, I think they're going to show up.
Texans are on the road.
At the Bengals.
At the Bengals.
Yeah. Okay.
He's taking the points.
All right. Okay.
Pope, are you willing to go minus 16.5 Cowboys against the Giants?
Is that the biggest line of the year?
Yeah.
Oh
Has
my
to be.
God.
I think they're going to cover.
I don't think it's big enough.
That's a sucker line. The Giants always play Dallas tough.
In
Except at the
Dallas,
beginning of the season.
always. No, I'm not going there. I'm going to ride the Saints wagon and give me the Saints at the Vikings. I'll take the giving the 2.5.
That's a good one. I'm going to take the Colts giving 2 at New England.
Okay.
Colts -2 at Pats. All right. I think I am going to take the Falcons -2 at the Cardinals.
That's good.
Cardinals
Although they're playing Kyler this week.
And the Falcons are starting the legend, Taylor Heineke.
Did he earn another start?
Yeah, they're going to reevaluate after the bye. Hey, just one last thing on NFL before we move on here. There's some fairly significant injuries
Yes.
this week, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Did I see Cam Akers
Towards
with
Achilles.
towards Achilles?
Dimes.
And then Danny Dimes with an ACL and Goddard with a broken arm.
Broken forearm, yeah.
Those are all,
Very significant.
in some regard, different ways significant, but
I think Danny Dimes' injury could have a major impact on the draft.
yeah.
I mean, to me, it was a done deal that we were taking another offensive lineman, maybe a wide receiver first, but I could see us taking a quarterback now.
I mean, he's going to be out till November next year at the earliest, right? I mean, it's not. It's
And
not
he was
just for us
He was
this season.
horrible this year. He was terrible.
Yeah.
I think we should I think the Giants should trade Danny Dimes and Saquon at this point for whatever draft capital they can get and start over. They're
Not
a
sure how
that's
much
mess.
not
you
going to
get for
happen till the
Dimes.
offseason now.
They're a huge mess.
Yeah. All right. Anything else on the NFL?
That's
All
it.
right, Pope. Bask in your glory. 2 series in 3 years. Congratulations. Let's hear about it.
For you listeners out there, obviously I have declared my loyalty to the Atlanta Braves because of the way my dad took me to the Braves games growing up, and it was important to me that we got another World Series while my dad was alive. But
Oh,
my
come
heart
on.
has
Really?
been.
You're going. You're
Oh,
going.
come on.
Seriously.
My heart has
Wait a minute.
been.
Wait a minute. Can you explain to us about your dad taking you to his favorite Auburn Tigers games and how
Well,
that worked
by the
out?
way, that never happened and never would have happened. But anyway, my heart has been with the Rangers since 1985 when I was a freshman at SMU and would go out to the old ballpark, sit out in the bleachers and have a good old time eating peanuts and Cracker Jack and realizing that we had one of the worst franchises in the Major League Baseball and probably would never sniff a World Series, let alone the playoffs. But over time, they finally got to the point where in 2011, they were 1 strike away twice. The PTSD moment that triggers us like no other. Finally, the curse was reversed, and we got a World Series title this week. An amazing performance by guys that, I predicted they would get 0 playoff wins. That's how confident I was going in. They almost missed the playoffs. If they hadn't won one of the 4 games against Seattle, they would have missed the playoffs. It was that close. And they were playing really bad, and they go on the road, and they found themselves in a way that no other team has on the road, because they won every road game. They were 11-0 on the road. I mean, I guess it could be matched. It won't be topped. First time it's ever happened. They found strength on the road that they couldn't find at home. They did not play well at home, but it didn't matter when they won every game on the road. Their bullpen came through in a way that we wouldn't have expected. They were the first World Series team to ever have a bullpen that was that given up more opportunities than wins in the regular season. We thought that would be their final problem was the bullpen, and they were able to turn that around. Nathan Eovaldi was the stud pitcher, 5-0, including the game 5 of the World Series, in which Gallen for Arizona had a perfect game through 6 innings, but the Rangers finally poured it on, and they didn't have stress in the 9th, and that was good for my heart, everybody else's heart. So Bruce Bochy comes over out of retirement, says, I'm not here to lose. I'm not here to wait around. We're here to win. And in the first year, he takes them for the first franchise World Series, and congratulations to the guys. It was a good sports cry here in Texas, and look forward to just reveling in it and enjoying it a little bit longer.
So 2 quick comments on that. Number one, you got to mention the performance of Corey Seager,
Of course.
Every time he stepped up to the plate, it seemed like he made a difference in the game. It was just unbelievable. But I do want to get you on record on something you said. You said that you declared your loyalty to the Braves to get one more World Series for your dad. Now that you had that one more World Series 2 years ago, are you done with the Braves, or is that we want one more now?
Well, here's the answer. I would have been for the Rangers over the Braves in this World Series. Isn't that all you need to know?
That doesn't answer the question.
My question was a little different.
I'm not against the Braves. I don't want the Braves to lose. So I don't know how to answer your question.
Are they your team if they win the World Series next year over the Astros?
No, the Rangers are my team.
Okay.
If it's the Braves versus the Rangers,
I'm Rangers all the way. I
think that's a legitimate answer, although we all know the truth is he will be referring to them as my Braves at some point next year.
Are you kidding? I'm waiting for my Dodgers.
Here's the thing. The Rangers,
my Orioles.
The Rangers, particularly the playoff Rangers, the Rangers were the best team. I think they would have beaten anybody. That's how well they were playing. Their pitching came together. Their hitting came together. It's hard for me to follow the narrative of like the long suffering Rangers, because it's not like year after year they're knocking on the door. To the credit of their ownership, they went out and they bought some incredible free agents. They have the number 4, salaries. In the Major League Baseball.
When they went out and got Seager and Simeon, that was the turning point.
The counterpoint to that, though, is they went out and they spent a shitload of money on players like Jacob deGrom and Max Scherzer, and they won the World Series without the benefit of deGrom, and kind of
mostly
without Scherzer.
Yeah,
Scherzer contributed.
I mean, it's amazing that their pitching staff pulled it together, absent those 2 guys.
Well, I would say as an afterthought that
I do remember Pope being really pretty down when deGrom was out for the year, because it just felt like a lost season.
That looked to me like the typical Yankees investment in an aging pitcher who had a great year 2 years ago and then joins the Yankees, gets paid, and spends the year on the IL.
Yeah.
And they doubled down by going to get Max, because after deGrom was out. But the trade that really went by at the time, nobody really paid much attention to it, was getting Jordan Montgomery. I mean, without him, we would not have been.
God, that was a great pickup. Great pickup.
Eovaldi and Montgomery. I mean, we had a 2-man rotation, And Max was not, close to where he was. And then bullpen by committee for whatever your fourth starter was.
Eovaldi's career looked like it was over when he was on the Red Sox.
He's had two Tommy Johns.
Congratulations to the Rangers. 97 days till spring training starts.
And
can't wait.
One quick caveat, because my dad is like one of our biggest listeners. I'm not saying that I only wanted one series before. I hope the Braves win as many more as you want them to, but you have to understand that now the Rangers are my team.
And go Auburn.
Yeah.
By the way,
okay.
In the next 97 days, all eyes will be on where does Mr. Ohtani land.
Yes.
Yeah.
All right. We love you, Papa Pope. Let's move on. House, let's talk a little college basketball and everything that matters. So talk Big East, and we don't need to do anything else.
Well, the Big East is going to dominate again this year. I mean, they're stacked between, Marquette and Creighton, UConn. I think Villanova will be better. But talk about finding postseason lightning in a bottle the way the Rangers did. That's what UConn did last year. And they are the defending champs. However, they're going to have a really tough time returning to the top. I think
Why do you say that?
Well, they lost.
Core of their team is still there.
No. The three best. Come on.
Two best players left. Left. They still have Tristan Newton, Alex Karabon, and the Klingon.
We're going to get to that. I think the college basketball season, the way I looked at it, splits into the returners, the transfers, and the one and dones. So who are the teams that have the returners? Well, kind of remarkably, after the heartbreak of bowing out to Fairleigh Dickinson,
Purdue,
Zach Edey, who destroyed college basketball last year, and everybody had him, not everybody, but a lot of people had them in their Final Four. That was a shock. And so Edey's not done with college basketball yet. And I think he's such a dominant force that you have to believe that Purdue is going to be in the mix. Will they fail out again? Maybe, but that's one of the returning teams. I think Duke got a real surprise when they got their freshman of the year, ACC freshman of the year, Kyle Filipowski, who probably easily could have been in many years a one and done. He returns. And I think that's a big deal when you get a returning freshman of the year from the ACC, and other players return for Duke. So I think that team will be tough. And yes, the question is about UConn. Is Donovan Clingan enough? The guy last year, his stats were crazy. He was basically 21-17 off the bench.
As a freshman.
He wasn't really a starter. And so Rooster, I guess one of the questions is, can that team play around him as the glue, as the guy on UConn?
I think so. He reminds me of the dude from Gonzaga who got drafted first and then hurt his foot and is now playing again in the NBA. Who is that guy? The 7 foot something guy?
Holmgren, Chet.
Chet Holmgren. He reminds me of him. He's got the height. He's got the moves. He's coordinated. I mean, he's no Wemby, but he's pretty damn good. I think he's a step up offensively from what's his name, Sonomo or whatever his name was.
Right. So that you got
Marquette has 85% of their minutes returning.
Marquette's returning too. So
I mean, they're in the next tier, I would say.
Creighton has returners and FAU has returners, but I think
what do you mean the next tier?
I think Kansas, Duke.
Kansas and Duke are tough.
Yeah, we haven't talked about Kansas yet. Purdue,
I think Marquette's a top 5.
And maybe Michigan State.
Season.
Well, Kansas, I want to get to those teams because Kansas I have in my group of those teams that are going to be bolstered massively by transfers.
Yeah.
I think Hunter Dickinson, was a monster for Michigan. It's one of the biggest transfers we've seen in college basketball before. The rich get richer, and I think he's the perfect player for that team.
And Nick Timberlake came over
Yeah.
too.
So I think that Kansas team has used the portal perfectly and are going to be a tough out to beat. And so did Arizona, which already had a pretty good team to start and picked up Caleb Love from Pope's Tar Heels.
Good luck.
Well, I think he's
no.
still...
I mean, I'm rooting for Caleb. It'll be interesting with a change of scenery. Does he have a new attitude this year? Because last year, was obviously a disaster from his perspective and the team's perspective.
I think backcourt play is what carries in the postseason in the NCAA, and Arizona has a pretty deadly backcourt now with Boswell and Love. So
what about Milk's team, FAU?
Yeah, I mean they were 35-4 last year. They're preseason ranked number 10 and returning most everybody. They're an incredibly athletic team, and I don't think their biggest problem is that no one's going to take them lightly at all. They're going to play with a bullseye on their back this year. But they're still in a lighter conference. They're going to have a schedule that results in them having 25 to 30 wins, and they'll have a high seed. We'll see what they can do with it. I'm interested to see what the group of what I call the one and dones. Kentucky this year has kind of a modern version of a Fab Five. They've got 5 freshmen coming in, 4 of which were McDonald All-Americans, headed up by DJ Wagner. And that team, if they can get them all playing together and gelling quickly, I mean, you're going to see these guys all playing in the NBA. The question is, can they play in this 1 year together? And the same goes for Michigan State, which had the number 5 recruiting class, adding to a pretty good team that includes, some returning players like Cone Carr and Tyson Walker. So I don't know. Izzo can coach. Calipari can coach. I think it's going to be really interesting from my perspective to see that kind of group of the one and dones versus the transfers versus the returners who can really carry it.
So who was preseason number 1 last year?
I'm guessing it was. Wait, well, not last year.
Last year
was it UNC?
Was that the UNC?
They fell quickly though.
Yeah.
Right. And so I was reading Billis today, and he said, Carolina was probably overrated because of what they did at the end of the year before when they went to the championship. 15 minutes, they were up by 15 points at half against Kansas in the championship game and lost. And then they were probably underrated this year because I don't know if you guys have been watching, but Carolina has put together a pretty good team. We'll find out if Hubert can coach this year. Baycott's back. RJ Davis is back. They got a superstar 5-star quarterback, point guard, Elliot Cadeau, who's going to be a lot of fun to watch. And then they got some transfers who came in, Cormac Ryan, who's a sharpshooter from Notre Dame, and Harrison Ingram from Stanford. So, I have no idea what the season holds, but it'll be interesting to watch.
Other than that, do you agree? I mean, it's not a really good-looking year for the ACC.
Agreed. I mean, look, Miami went to the Final Four last year, and they're preseason 13. I mean, they just got on an amazing roll.
Yeah. I also feel like Calipari's time has come and gone. I don't know why I feel that way. He just doesn't seem to be pulling it off with the one and done lineups anymore.
Well, I think it's harder too because with NIL, you got some returning players who would otherwise gone to the NBA, which makes, more veteran leadership. Those teams are going to beat the one and dones usually in a head-to-head during tournament time.
I just think it's such a weird, I've talked about how the NBA, when the NBA season starts, you never know what a team's going to look like because of all the buyouts and trades and buyouts, and guys become free agents and decide where they want to go and all that shit. And now with college hoops, it's similar with the transfer portal. I mean, I feel like the entire Georgetown team that I follow, I mean, granted, there hasn't been much to follow the last couple of years, but there were some good guys on there. They had that run to the and won the Big East tournament 2 years ago. And I don't know anybody on the team. I look at the roster and I'm like, who are these people? It just feels like teams turn over, not just one and done, just the transfer portal is so influential at this point.
Who's your
So
coach
maybe
now?
the Nils will get people to stay. Ed Cooley.
Ah.
Guy from Providence.
See, I think that makes a big difference too. I mean, I know I'm a homer, but Dan Hurley is a huge asset for UConn.
Huge.
Sure.
I think we should enjoy this college basketball season because I think we're down to the last couple of years before we see some massive change that will come about from the conference, collapsing into 2 or 3 or 4 mega conferences. I think it's going to change the postseason tournament. I don't, we'll see what happens, but I think college basketball is still the best sporting spectacle we've got come March, and I'm excited about this year.
Is that guy from Gonzaga, Timmy? Is he?
He's finally gone.
Where is he now? Is he in Europe or is he on the bench somewhere in the NBA?
He's retired in Florida. He's 72 years old, right? I mean, he's got to be close to retirement age, doesn't
He's
he?
selling insurance.
I think he's coaching Barca.
He's the modern day Walter Berry, the guy who spent 10 years at St. John's.
Oh God.
Yeah.
Just died recently too.
Speaking of St. John's,
yes.
We didn't talk about the return of Pitino.
Yeah, Pitino,
Right.
yeah.
What's going to happen there?
More cheating.
The Big East is going to be fun.
I'd say the cocktail waitresses needing to look out.
Oh boy.
Ooh.
All right. Listen, let's get to a couple more things we want to touch on. This could arguably go into the category of a punchable face, but I just want to have a quick chat on it. There is a clip going around. I think Milk forwarded it today of a high school coach in Tampa. A defensive lineman comes running off the field. It's a high school game, comes running off the field. Obviously wasn't supposed to be out there, probably was going to get a penalty. And on his way exiting the field, his coach or a coach
steps out to meet him in plain view of the whole stadium.
Yeah. And I mean, if there was ever a visual for whooped upside the head, that is exactly what this was. I couldn't tell if it was closed fist to the helmet or if it was an open palm smack to the helmet. I blew it up and watched it as much as as large of a video as I could to see.
Like the Zapruder film?
Well, it seemed to me that it was open fist smack on the helmet, but it's really hard to tell. And the guy was fired. I guess the discussion point here is that part of the excitement of football? And, coaches get in your face and scream at you in football, or is this crossing the line?
Way crossing the line. He struck the kid in anger. It wasn't a teaching moment. It wasn't tough love. It wasn't, hey, I'm a emotional coach. I'm screaming in your face because I want you to learn something. He struck this kid in anger. And I'm telling you, I don't know why the kid's family didn't come out of the stands and punch the coach. It was disgraceful.
I mean, Rooster, you had kids play high school football, right?
I played high school football. My coaches were brutal. They would put you through drills if they thought you needed to learn a lesson that are illegal today. But they never swung at me in anger.
What would you have done if you had been in the stands and that was your kid?
I would have come out of the stands. Honestly, I would have confronted that coach. There's no place for that in sports, and he humiliated the kid because he met him about 10 yards off the sideline where everyone could see it. So not only did he punch this kid in anger, he demoralized him. I mean, I don't know how the kid gets over that in terms of respect from his teammates and everything else.
I think the dividing line is it's a high school kid. Not to excuse that kind of behavior in the college or pros, but these are now closer to grown men. We're not talking about, okay, yeah, I know that this is high level football down in Florida and Jesuits, or whatever it's called, it's a very good school. So I'm sure it's at a higher level, but still it's a kid. This kid's likely 16, 17, 18 years old. And like Rooster said, besides all the emotional issues he's going to have dealing with the fact that it's being played on Twitter every And the fact that people are debating, was it okay for the coach to do it? Like, you just don't want to be the subject of that. And it wasn't necessary. The coach was obviously feeling pressure and embarrassed about whatever was happening on the game. And he took it out on a player.
Yeah, I think, Rooster, I think you're right on when you say it was in anger. It was a swing in anger. I don't know that I agree with you about him chewing the kid out in front of the rest of the team. I mean, I think football is that kind of game where you get chewed out. You get chewed out during the game. You get chewed out in the huddle. You get chewed out in film study on Monday. I don't have a problem with him meeting the kid and yelling at him, but I think you're spot on with, he reacted out of control.
And my point was that the out of control, which looked to me like a right cross to the head, occurred in plain sight of everyone. I don't think there was a lot of discussion going on. I don't think he was even screaming anything at the kid like, hey, why were you out there? He just walked out and tried to punch him in the head. So what's the point of that?
Well, he got fired, and I think that's the right outcome. I mean, I was sort of teasing with you guys on text, maybe egged on by somebody who posted the video initially. But no, I don't think that's okay.
Did you see after Evan Neal jumped off sides on the Giants' attempt at a tush push, he comes running off the field and Dayball meets him and goes, "What the fuck?"
Yeah.
I mean, he didn't even try to put his hands on a grown man.
And by the way, those guys are kids too. Quite honestly, they're just getting paid a lot of money.
Yeah.
So, all right, who's got a punchable face? Probably shouldn't follow that segment up with a punchable face of the week.
Yeah,
we'll put the video on our social media so our listeners can judge for themselves.
Yeah, that's a good one. Weigh in on that. Let's move to
don't put this next video on the social media sites for this punch. I don't think it's come up on the pod yet, but we talked about it a little bit by text. This hockey player in England who used to be in the NHL who died on the ice. And the punch goes this guy named Matt, I think it's Matt Petgrave or Matt Pelgrave. He's a goon enforcer, which is fine. That's part of hockey. I didn't even realize that there was like a British hockey league. And this guy, Adam Johnson, who was like an also-ran type of player for the Penguins, moved over to England, is playing for one of their teams. And when you see the video, it's hard not to see this as anything other than criminal, because he leaves the ice, he lifts his skate up. He knows it's going to go up high on the opponent's body, this Pelgrave guy, and it literally slices Johnson across the neck, and he bleeds out on the ice. And I've seen the video a few times. It's tough to watch. I cannot believe that happens in any sport. Like, I mean, that doesn't happen like almost in anything other than like a prison league. This crazy. And I think the only suitable punchable face for this guy is every dime he ever earns again in sport should go to that guy's family, and probably some type of criminal punishment.
Yeah,
I really feel that way.
Jail for that. The Penguins all wore neck guards in practice after seeing that.
It's crazy. Crazy. That's my punch.
Anybody else got a punch? All right. How about a lasso? Do we have a lasso?
I got one.
Yes.
Okay,
all right,
Woo!
Pope.
Right.
Continuing with the theme of the World Series Championship, Nathaniel Lowe, our first baseman, and he has a brother, Josh Lowe, who's an outfielder for the Rays, found out earlier this year before the playoffs that their mother had been diagnosed with a glioblastoma, which, as we know, guys, is pretty much a death sentence, and just started her first round of chemo during the playoffs. And so both of those guys, they were in the first round together. They were playing with a heavy heart. And then after the World Series Championship, Nathaniel did on Fox, that's made kind of viral down here. He did a tribute to his mom, saying he was thinking about her and hoping that, she wasn't able to make it, but enjoyed it, and was wishing her well through her first round of chemo. But most likely, the statistics are that mom won't be around for maybe even the beginning of spring training. So it was a great moment in sports for Nathaniel to be able to get a World Series that his mom was able to see.
Good one.
Good one. Yep. Anybody else have a lasso? All right, let's do buzzer beaters. Who's got a buzzer beater for us?
Well, go ahead.
You go.
Well, we did talk about NCAA football, so I kind of do that as my buzzer beater now, unless it's something big. You have a big group of one-loss teams that are all fighting for potentially 1 or 2 slots in the college football playoffs. Texas somehow survived in overtime against K-State. Should have lost that game. Fourth down decisions. We could talk about it in pod some other time and during overtime. And then Alabama, kind of flexes muscle against LSU to kind of put their foot out there. And then you've got Oregon, who barely lost to Washington. They probably will get a rematch, assuming they can go through the Pac-12 undefeated. Ole Miss.
You got to talk about the Washington USC shootout, though. That was amazing.
Wow.
It was quite a game. I guess the most memorable thing from that game is going to be Caleb Williams jumping up into the stands with his parents crying, because it was the end of the dream for him, assuming he goes pro and gets a piece of the ownership. Biggest game this week is Ole Miss, who does only have 1 loss to Alabama at Georgia. We'll once again see if Georgia can be exposed. Missouri had them for a little while, in trouble. So we'll see how Georgia fares. We're heading towards, the big games that'll decide our college football playoff. Penn State is hosting, I think, Michigan this week. That'll also be another big game.
I think the whisper campaign against Caleb Williams is unfair.
Agreed.
Their likelihood of getting into a playoff is nil. He's still playing his ass off. He's still leading the team. He's amazing. His skills are amazing. And I have to shout out to Milk. He was dead right about Penix. That guy is also amazing.
Yeah.
I wouldn't take any other quarterback above Caleb Williams. If I had the number 1 pick, that's the guy I want. So whatever whisper campaign is out there, it's not going to affect his draft status.
He's denied requiring a percentage ownership in any team that drafts him. That's a ridiculous request, and he did not make it, I don't believe.
My buzzer beater
from where, by the way?
Guess somewhere in DC. I don't know.
Georgetown Prep? Shit, I don't know.
No, unfortunately, our hated rival Gonzaga.
Oh,
but a Washington D.C. high school product.
My buzzer beater is because we didn't take enough time to talk about him during our NBA preview, but we've already seen in the 5 or 6 games that have happened so far that Wemby mania is for real. This guy, he scored 38 points in one of the 2 games in which San Antonio Spurs beat the Phoenix Suns twice. The KD Booker, Beal Suns, with this exciting team of Zach Collins and Devin Vessel and Jeremy Sochan and Wemby. But Wemby is for real. He's a top 5 defender already in the league. He's probably a top 10 player. He's played 5 or 6 NBA games. And when you have the Spurs come into your city now, you want to get a ticket. That's cool.
Yeah, it is.
Stay healthy, Wemby. Stay healthy. Anybody got anything else?
Yeah, my buzzer beater is I'm looking at 3 guys in the NBA besides Wemby, who I'm really interested in seeing how they do this year. One of them is House's guy, Tyrese Maxey. I think the Sixers playing better without Harden on the team.
Free Tyrese.
Clogging
He's free.
They're not clogging up the offense.
He's free.
Tyrese was a 20-plus point per game guy last year. I think he's playing better this year without the fat guy in his way. And I also want to see how Cade Cunningham does this year after being hurt last year.
Yeah.
That team has accumulated some super young talent. And if Cade Cunningham can play like he started out last year at 20 points a game before he got hurt, that's a damn good team. I mean, they got Jaden Ivey, Jalen Duran, Osar Thompson now from last draft. That could be a really exciting team. That could be the NBA's Houston Texans. And I really would love to see how Bradley Beal does on the Suns. The guy just never stays healthy. I don't think he's played more than 60 games in the last 5 years in any one season. But if he does, that could be fun to watch. So those three guys, along with Drew Holiday, has already shown he and Porzingis already shown what they can do on the Celtics. It'll be fun to watch.
All right. And I am going to go without a buzzer beater and let everyone get out of here tonight. Hey, guys, good show. Go Hoyas. First game tomorrow night. Tickets are free to anybody who wants to go.
Got
So they
rolling.
just DM you.
Guys, have a good week. See you guys.
All right.